Before we get started today, I don't know about you, but I love exchanging gifts with my girlfriends at Christmas. Friends just get us. They know the things that we would really like, right? Those things that we would pick if we were shopping for ourselves. And what I would pick is a pair of sweater knit Sheila clog slippers from Isotoner. These slippers are so comfy. Anyone on your list would absolutely love them. In particular, this one, the Sheila Clog, is this cozy knit slipper. It's made with super soft velour inside. It has this extra heel cushion, so it's really comfortable. And then it has this beautiful knit topper. I love that they have those indoor-outdoor soles that let you run to the mailbox or the bus stop without having to change into shoes. Very important at this time of year. So as an extra special holiday gift, my friends at Isotoner are giving our listeners 25% off any style of slipper at all for the next 2 weeks. This is perfect shopping season. Let's make it really easy to stock up on the holiday gift that everyone loves, slippers. Just head over to isotoner.com, use the code BRILLIANT25, get some for your friends, get some for yourself. Happy holidays.
I'm Sherilyn Skolnicki, and this is Brilliant Balance, the show for working women who are ready to shine. Each week, I bring you ideas, inspiration, and insight on balance, business, and getting it all done gracefully. You ready? Let's be brilliant.
This is episode 213, Coping Ahead, a strategy to manage your holiday emotions. Well, hello, my friends. As this episode airs, it will be Thanksgiving week. So happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. I hope that you have some time off, that you can spend rejuvenating yourself, restoring yourself, spending quality time with your family or the people that you love. And with those holiday gatherings that are returning, I understand this year, I'm actually wondering how you're feeling about it. I'm wondering, are you ready to see everyone? Or are you feeling nervous about it? And not just for the COVID risk that it might carry, but we're all a little out of practice on navigating family dynamics and the emotions that they can stir up. And sometimes we want to just get under the covers and avoid it all, and it doesn't feel worth it if we've had a little reprieve from some challenging family dynamics. So I want to help you get in the groove, because here's my belief. There really is nothing better than being gathered in person with people that we care about. And people are complex, right? They're messy. They come with all kinds of baggage and stories and attitudes and behaviors that may or may not align perfectly with ours and keep us comfortable all the time. So I want to borrow a strategy today from the mental health world. And this is a skill called coping ahead. I want to apply it specifically to holiday gatherings and see if it might give you a framework for how you can prepare in some way for what's coming to reduce your stress even ahead of time. And I'll tell you that this skill overall, this skill of coping ahead, is particularly good for any situation that kind of gets you into trouble, right? It doesn't have to be a holiday gathering, but I'm going to use that as our emphasis for today. But you might think about this same skill for scenarios where you might be tempted to engage in behaviors or do some things that actually aren't good for you. Right? Things that lead you to overeating, over drinking, avoidance, to anger, some behaviors that are not exactly good for you, but you're likely to do them in certain situations more than others. And this is also a good skill or approach for situations that happen regularly, like something where you kind of know what's coming, right? I've been here before. I know that it was triggering or it was upsetting or I didn't handle it well, and now I'm going to have to be in that situation, maybe with the same people regularly. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. So coping ahead, allows you to develop a plan in advance so that you can deal with those situations more effectively. Mastering this skill is tough though, right? Because it asks you to get honest with yourself about the situations that kind of trip you up instead of being surprised when they happen, right? You have to admit that you saw this coming, right? You fell into that hole sometimes again and again and again. So coping ahead is a framework that I'm going to introduce today. You may need to think about how you can apply this, and it might take some practice before it hits its peak effectiveness for you, okay? But the big idea here is that you're going to think in advance, almost imagine in your mind, how do you think this holiday gathering will play out? And, we're in Thanksgiving week, so maybe you're thinking about Thanksgiving. Maybe you're not going to be around family until early December or, that kind of week between Christmas and New Year's. But whenever you're imagining yourself gathering with family, I want you to just get a good mental picture, kind of run the movie in your mind about how this usually goes. And start getting honest with yourself about what you actually expect is going to happen during this gathering. How are you going to feel? What are people going to do? What are they going to say, right? What are kind of all the dynamics that you could imagine playing out in this particular gathering that you might be planning to have? And then I'm going to give you 6 ways in this episode that you can use this strategy of coping ahead. So if you need to hit pause and kind of get that movie together in your mind, go ahead and do that. Take a minute or two and really play it out, right? Where are you gathered? How are you feeling as you are traveling there? How are you feeling as you're walking in the door? Who's there to greet you, right? Who's the first person you have a conversation with? What are they likely to say or talk about or ask about? What are people wearing? How are they using the space? Are they all huddled together? Are people spread out? Are they all arriving at the same time? Or is there sort of a phased arrival? What's the food situation? How does that make you feel? What's the temperature in the environment that you're in? Are you in close quarters or is there lots of room? Are you inside or outside? I want you to think about all the elements of this gathering and kind of get a really good mental picture or movie of how things are likely to play out. And as you do that, you're very likely to anticipate pinch points, moments that might be more distressing than others, elements of the day that you like less, things that annoy you or frustrate you or make you sad or angry or hurt. And those are the things we want to focus on because those are the elements of the day that you will need a way to cope with. And if you don't think about this in advance, it can catch you by surprise. It can sort of catch you off guard, and then you're left flailing because by then you're emotionally triggered and it's much harder to figure out what to do about it, okay? So the first coping ahead strategy that you might use is to figure out who your friends are, right? Who are your allies? Who are the people that are going to be supportive to you in that environment? And I want you to talk with them in advance and agree to be one another's ally or friend or buddy during this experience. And you can actually talk through some strategies or things that either one of you can use if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, right? So maybe it's a particular cousin who you've got the bat signal with. Maybe it's your aunt, maybe it's your spouse, whoever it is in your environment that's going to be your ally, that they're kind of keeping an eye out for, are you starting to look a little overwhelmed? Are you starting to seem not quite like yourself? And vice versa. And just knowing who those people are that you can turn to in that moment of stress can be very powerful. Okay, so that's the very first one, is identifying who's your buddy, who's your ally, who's your wingman for this event. Second strategy is to be prepared to take a breather, okay? Fresh air is awesome. Being stuck inside can really emphasize a feeling of being trapped. And so if you are going to be at an event that is being held indoors, finding a way to get yourself some fresh air can be a really good idea. That could be something like you go for a walk outside and get a 15 or 20 minute breather during the gathering itself. It can be a place where, you get some other kind of physical activity outside. You could just go stand on the front porch and breathe in that cold air. But anything you can do to get some fresh air or a little bit of space, a little bit of a change of scenery from the situation can be really rejuvenating. Now, if you can couple that with physical activity, like going for a walk, then you're going to get those extra endorphins that come from movement, right? And that's another mood enhancer. So you can come back in, sort of have red cheeks, you're breathing a little heavier, but you feel like your mood has been boosted with that little bit of an escape. Do you ever find yourself saying, I just need a minute to breathe? While the whole idea of meditation can sound totally intimidating, I've found that stepping away from the chaos of life, even just for a few minutes, is incredibly restorative. So if you're short on time, but could use a few moments of peace right about now, listen to my 5-minute meditation for working moms. It'll help you clear your head and come back to your day feeling centered and refreshed. Head over to brilliant-balance.com/breathe. Press play and settle in for a few mini moments of peace right now. Okay, this third coping ahead strategy is one that I really like. And I've shared this before when talking about family dynamics. And this is leveraging your ability to change the conversation, to shift what people are talking about. So let's say someone at the gathering just can't stop bugging you about your child's behavior, right? I know that's all of our favorite thing to do is get feedback on how our kids are behaving. Or maybe it's your hairstyle and your mom just doesn't understand why you don't have bangs, right? Or it's a hobby and they just can't stand that this is the hobby that you have. One very powerful strategy is to know how to change the topic and get them talking about something that they care about, something ideally positive, right? Maybe they have a hobby that they love. Maybe they just took a trip. Maybe they've started a new job, and you can ask them how they are doing. So this is a pretty overt subject change, and you want to go into the gathering with some topics in your back pocket that if things start going down a pathway that you don't want to talk about, you can essentially change the subject, right? Change the tenor of the conversation. Here's how it becomes coping ahead, is knowing in advance what you might use as conversation starters, okay? So let me review the first 3. Identify who your wingman is, your buddy, your ally, who's the person that's going to support you. Take a breather, know what you're going to do to get outside for a little bit and get some fresh air. And then 3, know how you could change the conversation. What is a couple of subjects that you could have in your back pocket that you can introduce that are safe territory for you, okay? 4th one is you can simply go to another room. So even if you can't get outside, if that's, the weather's bad or it's just not possible to be outside, you can probably go to another room for a period of time. Look, family events can sometimes start to feel very crowded, and it is perfectly okay to need a little bit of space, to need a breather from that. You'll feel this even more acutely if you're introverted, right? You'll really crave that space, or you may feel it more acutely if you don't think you have a lot in common with the people who you're gathered with. So let's say everyone is watching a football game and you just can't stand it. Giving yourself the chance to find another room to be in for a little while can really give you a reprieve from the demands of that situation, okay? Totally okay to need some space, unapologetically just getting yourself to another room. The 5th coping ahead strategy here is calling a friend. And look, I know that most of us are trying to keep our phones away when we're gathered with people, and we don't really necessarily want to encourage you to escape the situation. But if you're feeling really overwhelmed or you're starting to just feel down with this particular gathering, maybe there's someone not at the gathering who can listen to you. And you can step away, give them a phone call, kind of talk through it, and then maybe even laugh about it, and then be in a position to come back to the gathering with a renewed sense of equanimity. Okay. So knowing who is somebody that's willing to be on call to chat with you or text with you during the time that you're at the event and they're at some other event or they're at home can really be a grounding strategy. It can help you remember who you are when you're at your best and get back to that with that little bit of support. And then this last one is probably my favorite. This is something that I know I've shared about in previous podcast episodes. And this is to sort of turn yourself into a journalist or a sociologist where you ask a lot of questions. So being at the gathering and finding someone that you'd like to know more about. You'd like to know more about their story, their life experiences, what they're up to right now. Maybe it's your cousin and she has just started college, or maybe it's that you found out a really interesting story about your mother-in-law or father-in-law and their early childhood or their early adulthood. And you can get really curious about that and essentially put yourself in the seat of the interviewer. That posture of thinking, I am here to ask questions, to get them talking about themselves, can really ease your anxiety going in, right? Because what are we often afraid of? We're afraid of the questions that we're going to get asked. We're afraid of having to justify our choices or explain, right, our current circumstances or past circumstances. So this turns the table a bit and kindly and gently, puts it on safe ground where people can talk about things they love talking about. And then you can be in a listening posture, right? That kind of interviewer or listener, which is a really comfortable place to be for most of us, to not have to be in the hot seat. So in all of these 6 strategies, right? Identify who your allies are, know how to take a breather, change the conversation, go to another room, phone a friend, right? Ask questions, be that investigative reporter. These are all examples of how you can think in advance about how you want to handle the event, the gathering, the interaction. And that's why we call it coping ahead, right? They don't work as well if you wait until you're in the moment to try to think of these things. And again, it's my belief, family gatherings are not always easy, but they are almost always worth it. It's such a delight to get to know these people who kind of have influenced who we've become. And a little bit of advanced planning using these coping ahead skills can make them less stressful and honestly a lot more fun. You might be surprised at how well they work actually. And then of course, feel free to take these same strategies and apply them to other circumstances that happen regularly in your life that you're like, I'm just not super proud of how I show up or how I feel in these circumstances, and I'd like to try a different way, okay? If you want some more support or you want to continue this conversation about these ideas, come join us in the Facebook group. Go to Facebook, search groups for Brilliant Balance, make sure you're in there, or drop a DM on Instagram. I'm at cschoolnikki, or you can do at brilliant_balance and get in the conversation. Tell me how this worked for you, where you tried it, how it worked. I would love to hear from you. Till next time, my friends, let's be brilliant.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.